series have actually run quite close together. The highlight reel for season 2 literally just precedes this one because of February being a short month and how the Fridays fell. And how I left that gap to get Baby Blues out, really. I wanted to get that out and out of my way. So, yes, here we are in season 3, which for a long time it was my least favourite season. I still wouldn't count it as that high, you know, on my list of all the seasons, but I've got to really learn its charms. You know, I've understood why people do like it. And okay, yeah, you know, so much of the stuff that it introduces obviously sets up so much down the line for both Buffy and Angel. So it is a vital season. It's like, I suppose to me it's always felt like the middle entry into a trilogy, where it could be really great or just, okay, we kind of needed to have it. And a lot of the times it is, we kind of needed to have it. And then the final piece of the trilogy is the blowout kind of big spectacle that we wanted for the second one. But season 3 does have a lot of good to it, like I say. I have learned that now. We have the introduction of Faith that so much of the future hinged on. Without Faith, a lot of the plot lines from even right up to the end, the whole idea of the potentials and everything like that, kind of was helped along by the fact that Faith was there. We had the growing up of Xander in, I suppose, the rite of passage kind of way, but it did affect his character. He did learn to accept himself for who he was. So he grew up in multiple ways. It was just spurred by the sex. We have, you know, the fact that Buffy is recognised by her peers as the class protector. And of course we have the return and departure of Angel. But really where it started was quite interesting, because at the end of last year Buffy had run away. Her problems became too much to handle. Her mother had effectively said, if you go out to fight, you know, or to deal with this apocalypse, don't come back. And she was like, fine, I won't. I'm going to go to LA and face demons there and rescue teens, which was kind of great. And of course comes back to a lukewarm reception, I think, by everyone, because there is a lot of sense in that. People do feel like you've let them down. People do feel that, you know, they were terrified for you. You were constantly on their mind. They couldn't just... It's not like you died where they could grieve and move on. You may have done, but they didn't know. They were holding on to the hope that you might come back, but also the potential raw truth that you might not. And it's very difficult for them to deal with, and I think the way it handles that, the return of a runaway, was very sensitive, was very well done. Buffy was made to feel bad, but it was tinged, or it came from a place of love. And that's, I think, very important. Of course, it doesn't help that there was a whole zombie infestation going on thanks to a weird African mask. And this season really gave us a lot more of the funny Giles moments. You know, particularly in that episode, you know, the...
Do you like my mask? Isn't it pretty? It raises the dead. Americans.
But it really started to ramp up his less stuffy side. We'd started to see an element of that, obviously, with, you know, the Igon and Ripper history kind of tales coming through. We saw a darker side, but that leads the way to sort of the levity. Of course, this does all come to a very interesting head in Band Candy, where he and Joyce consummate their relationship of sorts, and yeah, that's a thing that we don't need to know about for a lot of people, including Buffy. But of course, in earshot, she gets wind of it because of the telepathic powers from the demon. And like I said, this is where I was starting to learn to love this season. Like the fact it was bringing in a lot of the levity, but still keeping the matters, you know, or the things it was dealing with, very heavy. We have the whole Bad Girls Consequences arc, mini arc, I suppose, for that, but which then led into Faith's turn. You know, that whole idea of dealing with what could Buffy do if Buffy made the wrong choice every time. And okay, maybe that's subjective, but at least framed in the narrative of the show, the wrong choice every time would lead her down Faith paths. You know, it's very, very clear that that's the message we're meant to take away. They're involved in killing a man, and Buffy panics and is all, you know, we've got to tell the authorities. But Faith, more street savvy, knows that they've got to hide it. even if it were an accident, there's still a lot of stuff that would be put, called into question. Why a wooden stake? What were you doing walking around with a wooden stake at night? And why was your first instinct when someone jumped you to stab them with it in the heart? Best case scenario, they'd be probably put into a mental institution. Worst case scenario, they'd be imprisoned and jailed for a very long time. So Faith's logic and fear there does make a lot of sense. She's trying to protect the Slayers because they're the only ones who can do what they do. But like I say, this is a season with levity and heaviness, and I think it does it really well. It marries the two ideas perfectly. But one of the big things it does give us is the Watcher turned rogue demon hunter Wesley Wyndham-Pryce, and his introduction obviously following the issues around the Cruciamentum, which was a big relationship hump, I suppose, for Buffy and Giles to get over. The fact that, she trusts this guy with her life and he was weakening her and nearly got her and her mum killed. Not great. But yeah, so the introduction of Wesley as this bumbling fool who was very much the academic Watcher. He said he'd obviously spent, so much field time and done real vampire killing, but it was all very controlled. Unlike Giles, who I think even before being assigned to Buffy had had a lot of experiences, and obviously that's discounting the whole Igon youth kind of stuff. I think he's lived a life, whereas Wesley's very much been sheltered. And we get that wonderful kiss with him and Cordelia, which does get, sort of referenced in Angel a few times once he arrives there. But again, that's one of those elements that without this season being what it was, we wouldn't have had a lot of what we did have to follow. So this was a better season than I originally recalled. But that's not even getting into the Angel arc, because I do want to end on that, because it does kind of dovetail nicely towards how I want to end this video. Angel returns from the Hell Dimension. She tries to keep it hidden. I mean, this season is very much about the relationships between people. Buffy's relationship with Angel was obviously very strained by her sending him to Hell, and she tries to rebuild that when he comes back and keep it secret. The relationship with Giles was strained not only by his actions with Cruciamentum, but her hiding it, and that goes for all her friends. The relationship was strained anyway right at the start of the season, like I said before, because of her disappearance. And the relationship with her mother's very kind of weird, which does get referenced in Gingerbread, when her mother basically turns against her as a slayer, because she lumps them in with all the witches and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the season, Angel says, no, I need to go. I need to leave this place because I can't be around you and not be with you. It's a very maudlin kind of tale, but also very beautiful, and I think very honourable on his part. He knows the best thing to do is to leave, and Joyce kind of reiterates it as well, but he knows that that's the best thing to do. And of course Buffy does turn up a few times in Angel, and he does come back a couple of times as well. But he stays away and he gets his own series out of it, which we will be starting next month. That's how I'm going to do it. I think we've had 3 Buffys, so let's give Angel a go, and then we'll basically alternate until the end, where obviously we'll end with an Angel as well. But before I close out, I do want to give a quick nod to the 1-episode return of Spike, which really, I think, cemented the fact that he would return in Season 4 and onwards, and the development of Willow's witchy powers. Those are both, again, important elements moving forward, but with, the Willow witch thing, it was, like I say, just a growing thing. And, like I say, Spike was only 1 episode, so I don't think I'm going to cover those in the highlight reel, but there definitely will be a highlight reel of things such as Graduation Day, because the whole Mayor Snake thing is a weird idea, and I really want to look at that in detail. The Zeppo needs a look at for the reasons I mentioned before. There's a few, basically, and I do want to make sure I give them their own dues. So please join me in a couple of weeks or so, we'll see. Until then, though, as always, thanks for watching, and take care.